my previous life, I defied my family's objections and married a poor boy. For 5 years, we lived a life of frugality. When our shampoo ran out, he suggested diluting it with water to stretch its use a bit longer. Every little bit saved mattered to us. When the toothpaste was almost empty, he insisted on squeezing it harder to extract every last drop. To help him pay off his debts, I pinched pennies, working during the day and taking on part-time jobs at night. Then, one fateful day, I stumbled upon a shocking revelation. On his first love's birthday, he had spent a staggering $1 million to throw her an extravagant birthday party. It was at that moment I realized he was the sole heir of the Lou Group, living a life of luxury with millions at his disposal. Heartbroken and overwhelmed by the betrayal, coupled with years of exhaustion, I collapsed and deceased on my way home from work. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day I first discovered his treachery. Chapter 1. At 9 o'clock at night, while I was working part-time at a bubble tea shop, my phone buzzed with a notification. Popular actress Lena's mysterious boyfriend makes a grand appearance at her birthday party, spending a staggering $1 million just to bring her a smile. The video captured a scene bursting with vibrant flowers and breathtaking fireworks, a visual feast. But the man beside Lena looked hauntingly familiar. I quickly took a screenshot and zoomed in. The figure was captured only from the back, yet after 5 years of marriage, I recognized him instantly. It was my husband Luke. The colorful string bracelet adorning his wrist was the very one I had tied on him that morning, a traditional gesture during the Dragon Boat Festival. To ensure it wouldn't slip off, I had tied a secure dead knot, one that could only be undone with scissors. He must have deliberately avoided cutting it to evade my inquiries. In the video, they stood hand in hand, gazing up at the fireworks. As the moment reached its peak, Lena stood on tiptoe and planted a kiss on Luke's cheek. If he weren't my husband, that scene might have been enchanting. A comment flickered across the screen. Word has it Lena's boyfriend shelled out $1 million for this birthday bash. $1 million. That figure seemed astronomical, utterly unattainable. But Luke was supposed to be just a humble guy. Where on earth did he find $1 million? Just a few days prior, when we ran out of shampoo, I had asked him to buy more. He suggested diluting it with water to stretch it out, advocating for every penny saved. And when the toothpaste was nearly empty, he insisted on squeezing it harder, claiming there was still some left. In that moment, I thought his frugality made sense. After all, we were living on a tight budget. Another comment drifted by. Do you know who he is? He's Luke, the sole heir of the Lou Group, worth millions. $1 million is chump change for him. What? Shock coursed through me as I struggled to comprehend what I was reading. I closed the video and searched for Luke's name. Countless entries appeared, but the most prominent one detailed Luke from the Lou Group. With trembling fingers, I clicked on it, revealing a handsome photo of Luke alongside his profile. He had deceived me, even opting not to alter his name. I felt utterly foolish for not realizing this sooner. Staring at my phone screen, I was caught in a whirlwind of disbelief and anger, struggling to catch my breath. Luke and I had met at a matchmaking event. After dating for a little over 2 months, he proposed with a paper heart ring. At the time, I must have been out of my mind, finding it romantic and innovative, and I accepted his proposal without a moment's hesitation. I even severed ties with my parents over it. On the day we registered our marriage, he suddenly had cold feet. After persistent questioning, he confessed that he had been duped by a friend in a business venture, leading to a debt of over $1.5 million. He claimed that marrying me wouldn't just deny me a good life, it might also drag me down with him. I was moved by his candidness and insisted on going through with the marriage. Luke told me he was an orphan, alone since childhood, and living a difficult life. He expressed his gratitude for the home I had given him. After our wedding, we settled into the apartment I rented, with me footing the monthly rent and covering our daily expenses. All of his income went toward repaying his debts. Determined to help him settle his financial burdens as quickly as possible, I juggled day jobs with part-time work at night. In my 20s, I felt as though I were already in my 40s. Last night, after an intimate moment, he held me and murmured, "Honey, thank you for giving me a home. Without you, I would still be wandering aimlessly, and I wouldn't be as happy as I am now. I nestled against him, feeling a surge of affection. "Honey, I feel the same." He sighed. "I wish I didn't have this debt, so you wouldn't have to work so hard. I'm truly sorry." In the end, he seemed burdened with guilt. I kissed his cheek, attempting to reassure him. "It's okay, as long as we work hard together, things will improve." In that moment, I believed I was incredibly fortunate to have found such a wonderful man. Luke was strikingly handsome, had an impressive physique, and loved me deeply. It felt like a fairy tale that had landed right in my lap. I even envisioned that once he was free from his debts, we would save up for our own house, raise 2 children, and live blissfully as a family of 4. But I never anticipated. As these thoughts flooded my mind, tears welled in my eyes. Suddenly, a message from Luke chimed in. "Honey, I'll be working late tonight. You don't have to wait for me. Love you, your husband." Luke worked at the front desk of a hotel. Had I not seen that video, I would have waited up for him, feeling sympathy for his late hours. I couldn't grasp why he had chosen to deceive me. I stumbled through the remainder of my shift, barely managing to ride my bike home. As I cycled, memories of every moment from our initial meeting to our marriage played on repeat in my mind, leaving a sharp ache in my chest. Tears streamed down my face as I walked, and when I reached the final traffic light before my community, a sudden, intense pain pierced through my chest, my vision blurred, and I lost consciousness. The blaring sirens of an ambulance jolted me awake. In a daze, I heard someone say urgently in my ear, "The patient has a history of heart disease. Years of fatigue have triggered acute myocardial infarction." I struggled to open my eyes, but fatigue weighed me down. A series of beeping noises filled the air, and I heard someone exclaim in alarm. "Oh no! The patient's blood pressure is dropping, and there's no heartbeat." Chapter 2. A sudden wave of suffocation jolted me awake, and I gasped for air. I found myself in the familiar bubble tea shop. My colleague Peach looked at me with concern. "Olivia, are you feeling okay? You're sweating a lot." I wiped my forehead and realized I was drenched. "I'm just a bit unwell, feeling some tightness in my chest," I replied, trying to sound casual. Peach handed me a cup of water. "It's quiet right now. Why don't you take a break in the back? I'll call you when it gets busy." I took a sip of water and nodded. "Thanks. I'll lie down for a bit. Just call me when you need me." I needed time to sort through what was happening. The memory felt too vivid, I couldn't tell if it was a dream or something else. In the break room, I replayed the memories from start to finish. I confirmed it wasn't a dream but a genuine experience. I had been reborn, back to the day I discovered my husband's infidelity. At 11:15, a notification pinged. I opened the message. The video showed them together, just as it had in my past life. But having experienced death, I wasn't as shocked or heartbroken this time. Instead, I felt a cold calmness wash over me. I stepped outside and asked Peach, "If your future husband cheated on you, what would you do?" Peach, a few years younger and born in the 2000s, tightened her grip on her bubble tea cup and exclaimed, "I'd make him leave with nothing, ruin his reputation. He and that mistress better get as far away from me as possible." I nodded in agreement. Yes, that was the logical reaction of a normal person. It wasn't worth losing my life over a scumbag. However, making Luke leave with nothing seemed unlikely given his status. But tarnishing both his and Lena's reputations was certainly achievable. Especially Lena being a public figure, if her affair became public, it would be a devastating blow to her career. With that thought, I recorded the video and saved it to the cloud. Just as I finished saving it, Luke's text came through. "Honey, I'll be working late tonight. Don't wait up for me. Love you." The message mirrored my past life. I took a screenshot and stored it in the cloud for future reference. Heaven had given me a second chance, and this time, I would make him pay. After work, I took a cab home for the first time since marrying Luke. I usually took the bus or walked, occasionally using a shared bike. A cab ride could cover half a month's bus fare. The money I saved went to him, to pay off debts that didn't even exist. I lived frugally to support him, while he, with millions in assets, deceived me into believing he was a pauper. It was truly ironic. Back home, I sat on the couch, staring at the house we had shared for 5 years, unable to sleep. Luke didn't come home that night either. While I plotted my revenge, he was likely indulging in the arms of a celebrity. The next morning, I requested a leave of absence from work, asking for all the vacation days I hadn't taken in the past 5 years. My boss was surprised. I was known as a workaholic, never taking a day off for 5 years, always volunteering for the toughest jobs for extra pay. I explained that I was suddenly exhausted and needed a break. My boss understood and approved my leave without hesitation, even telling me not to worry about handing over my responsibilities, just to rest well. After a quick wash, I skipped breakfast and headed out. As I walked to the entrance of the apartment complex, I spotted a familiar figure across the street. It was Luke. I quickly ducked behind some bushes. Luke emerged from a Rolls-Royce, carrying a bag of something, dressed in the same t-shirt and jeans he had worn when he left that morning, not the tailored suit from the video. I recognized that car. It was often parked outside our complex. Once, while walking with Luke, I had joked about how someone could afford a luxury car but not a garage. He had only smiled in response. Now it became clear, it wasn't that he couldn't afford it, he simply didn't care. To him, such luxury cars probably meant nothing. As he drew closer, I realized he was holding a bag of pan-fried buns. My favorite from King's pan-fried buns. Once home, he called me. Seeing the caller ID labeled, "Dear husband." I felt a surge of irritation, wishing I could pry open my mind to see how much delusion had led me to label him that way. "Hey, honey." Luke's voice came through the phone. "I'm home. I got your favorite King's pan-fried buns. Where are you?" I took a moment to steady my emotions, trying to sound casual. "Something came up at work, so I left early. Enjoy your meal." "Okay." Luke sounded disappointed. "I'll make you something special for dinner when you get back." I replied with a non-committal hum and hung up, quickly changing his contact name to Scumbag. Across the street was a cafe, and I chose a corner seat by the window, giving me a clear view of the street while remaining hidden. I wanted to see what Luke did every day. While he was out, I ordered a set of mini surveillance cameras online, planning to install them at home. Who knew if he had brought Lena over while I was at work? Our rented apartment was a 1-bedroom, 1 living room setup. If he had indeed brought Lena home, I would be disgusted beyond belief. It wasn't until the afternoon that Luke finally emerged, heading straight for the Rolls-Royce. Wearing a mask and hat, I quickly hailed a cab and followed him. We drove to a high-end hotel, and my heart sank. Was he renting a room there? The car came to a stop, and a valet rushed to open the door, making a welcoming gesture. Luke tossed the keys to the valet and walked inside. I carefully followed him, watching as he entered a private room. Chapter 3. Taking advantage of the waiter delivering the menu, I caught sight of several men and women around Luke's age inside. They were all dressed impeccably, exuding an air of wealth. To dodge the waiter's questions, I pretended to call a friend to inquire about the private room, then slipped into the empty one across the hall. I left the door slightly ajar and hid behind it, eavesdropping. I heard them ordering a plethora of dishes: steak, red wine, king crab, lobster, foie gras, and salmon, all delicacies I could only dream of affording. A meal like that would easily cost 5 figures. At home, Luke wouldn't even let me throw away leftover food, insisting we could eat it the next day. Soon, laughter erupted from the private room. "Luke, every time I see you in those shabby clothes, I can't help but laugh. You're a millionaire heir, yet you wear such cheap fabric. Aren't you ashamed? When are you going to leave her? Don't tell me you've grown fond of that ugly woman, Olivia?" I heard Luke retort. "How could I? I'm just playing around. Do you think she deserves my affection? I've never seen a woman as foolish as her." I told her I owed over 1.5 million, and without hesitation, she helped me pay it off. I said we had no money and shouldn't buy makeup or clothes, and she hasn't bought anything in 5 years. I should have asked for more. The room erupted with laughter, mocking my naivety. I thought I had found true love, but in reality, I was merely a plaything for his amusement. The stories of orphans and debt were just excuses to elicit my sympathy. The happy marriage he pretended we had was nothing but a facade. In that moment, it felt like my heart was being laid bare for everyone to see, bleeding profusely, yet no one cared. He was a rich second-generation heir, the wealthiest in the city. And I was the biggest fool in the city. I couldn't afford to wallow in sadness. I quickly took out the recording device I had prepared and aimed it at the door. Before long, someone inside asked Luke. "Luke, I heard you were with Lena last night. Are you rekindling your old flame?" Luke replied, "Just catching up after not seeing each other for years. I heard she was heartbroken when she found out you were married. Serves her right for dumping Luke to chase fame. You guys don't know? Luke married that ugly woman to get back at Lena." My body shook, nearly losing my balance. So that was his purpose for marrying me. I looked it up online and discovered that Lena was Luke's first love. Years ago, Lena's company forbade her from dating to maintain her pure image. To achieve fame, she had dumped Luke. Having felt his feelings were played with, Luke had decided all women were deceitful. He took pleasure in toying with women's emotions, changing girlfriends frequently, and ultimately resolved to marry someone just to get back at Lena. But worried that the woman would seek his wealth, he hid his identity and found me. And I was the fool he played like a marionette. Lena had wronged him, not me. Why did he have to toy with my feelings and trample on my dignity? Waves of anger surged through me. Just as I turned to leave, I heard someone inside ask Luke. "Luke, what if that woman finds out your identity and refuses to divorce?" Luke sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. "She's too busy making money to support me and pay off my debt to care about anything else. Even if she discovers my identity, it doesn't matter. I have ways to make her obediently divorce me without her getting a dime." I had suspected he would think this way, but hearing it felt unbelievable. How could someone be so ungrateful? Furious, I clenched my fists and, as I stepped out, saw a well-dressed woman approaching. It was Lena. As soon as she entered, someone complimented her on how beautiful she had become. Coincidentally, a waiter was serving food, and the door opened. I glanced inside and saw Lena sitting next to Luke, the two of them gazing at each other with undeniable affection. Lena looked at Luke with burning eyes. "I love the gift. Thank you, Luke." Luke smiled. "I'm glad you like it." He was so generous to his first love, spending a fortune just to make her smile. Meanwhile, at home, he wouldn't even buy a new bottle of shampoo, telling me to dilute the old one with water. I didn't stay to listen further, fearing he might discover me. Walking down the street, I couldn't hold back my tears. For 5 years, I had poured my heart into loving Luke. I worried about his long hours at work, cooking various soups to nourish him. At work, I refrained from ordering takeout, settling for steamed buns with pickles, saving the leftover money to help him pay off his debts. And he treated me like this. How absurd, truly absurd. Taking advantage of the waiter's entrance to deliver the menu, I saw several men and women around Luke's age inside. All of them were well-dressed, looking wealthy. To avoid the waiter's questions, I pretended to call a friend to ask about the room and then hid in the opposite private room. Fortunately, it was empty. I left the door slightly ajar and hid behind it, eavesdropping. I heard them order many dishes, like steak, red wine, king crab, lobster, foie gras, and salmon, all dishes I could only dream of affording. A meal like that would easily cost 5 figures. While at home, Luke wouldn't even let me throw away leftover food, saying we could eat it the next meal. Soon, laughter erupted from the private room. "Luke, every time I see you in those ragged clothes, I can't help but laugh. You're a millionaire heir, wearing such cheap fabric, aren't you ashamed? When are you going to leave her? Don't tell me you've grown fond of that ugly woman, Olivia." I heard Luke retort. How could I? I'm just playing around. Do you think she deserves my affection? I've never seen a woman as stupid as her. I told her I owed over 1.5 million, and she didn't hesitate to help me pay it off. I said we had no money and shouldn't buy makeup or clothes, and she hasn't bought any in 5 years. I should have asked for more. The room erupted in laughter, mocking my stupidity. I thought I had found true love, but I was just a toy for his amusement. What orphan, what debt were just excuses to gain my sympathy. The happy married life was a facade he created. At that moment, it felt like my heart was being laid bare for everyone to see, bleeding, but no one cared. He was a rich second-generation heir, the wealthiest in the city. And I was the city's biggest fool. I couldn't afford to be sad. I quickly took out the recording device I had prepared and aimed it at the door. Soon, someone inside asked Luke. "Luke, I heard you were with Lena last night. Are you rekindling your old flame?" Luke said. "Just catching up after not seeing each other for years. I heard she was heartbroken when she found out you were married. Serves her right for dumping Luke to become famous. You guys don't know? Luke married that ugly woman to get back at Lena." My body shook, nearly losing my balance. So that was his purpose for marrying me. I looked it up online and found out Lena was Luke's first love. Years ago, Lena's company forbade her from dating to maintain her pure image. To become famous, Lena dumped Luke. Feeling his feelings were played with, Luke decided all women were fake. He took pleasure in toying with women's feelings, changing girlfriends frequently, and finally decided to marry a woman to get back at Lena. But worried the woman would be after his money, he hid his identity and found me. And I was the fool he played like a puppet. Lena wronged him, not me. Why did he have to toy with my feelings and trample on my dignity? Waves of anger surged through me. Just as I turned to leave, I heard someone inside ask Luke. "Luke, what if that woman finds out your identity and refuses to divorce?" Luke sneered, his voice contemptuous. "She's too busy making money to support me and pay off my debt to care about anything else. Even if she finds out my identity, it doesn't matter. I have ways to make her obediently divorce me without getting a penny." I had expected him to think this way, but hearing it still felt unbelievable. How could someone be so ungrateful? Furious, I clenched my fists and, as I stepped out, saw a well-dressed woman approaching. It was Lena. As soon as she entered, someone complimented her on her increasing beauty. Coincidentally, a waiter was serving food and the door opened. I glanced inside and saw Lena sitting next to Luke, the two of them gazing at each other with affection. Lena looked at Luke with burning eyes. "I love the gift, thank you, Luke." Luke smiled. "I'm glad you like it." He was so generous to his first love, spending $1 million just to make her smile. While at home, he wouldn't even buy a new bottle of shampoo, telling me to add water to the old one. I didn't listen to the rest, fearing he might discover me. Walking down the street, I couldn't help but cry. For 5 years, I had loved Luke with all my heart. Afraid he was too tired from work, I would make various soups to nourish him. At work, I didn't dare order takeout, eating only steamed buns with pickles, saving the money to give to him to pay off his debt. And he treated me like this. How ridiculous, truly ridiculous. Chapter 4. I wandered the streets all day, returning home only when the sun dipped below the horizon. As I stepped inside, I found Luke in the kitchen, busy cooking. Hearing my footsteps, he turned with a smile and called out. "Honey, you're back. Just a moment, dinner will be ready soon." Luke was wearing the Doraemon apron I had bought for him, expertly navigating the cramped space of our kitchen. It was hard to reconcile this domestic scene with the image of him as a millionaire heir. While cooking, he chirped. "I made your favorite spicy chicken. I even had the shopkeeper pick out the biggest one. And he threw in some green onions for free. Oh, and I sold all the cardboard boxes and bottles we had saved up. Made almost $100. After buying groceries, I still have over 30 left, which I put in the drawer by the door." I had to admit, he was going to great lengths to maintain his charade. I glanced at the beautifully arranged for dishes and soup on the table. Normally, I would have rushed over to hug him, praising him as the best husband ever. But now, it felt like a cruel joke. I recalled him saying earlier that his cooking skills were for Lena, even though he had told me it was for me. He stepped out of the kitchen holding the dishes. The moment he saw the redness around my eyes, he quickly set the plates down and came over. "Why are you crying? Did someone upset you at work?" When I remained silent, he furrowed his brow. "Talk to me. Who hurt you? I'll confront them." His concerned gaze conveyed a deep affection, as if I were the most precious person to him. Feigning hesitation, I recited the lie I had prepared. "My boss sent me on a business trip, possibly for 1 to 3 months. I just can't bear the thought of being away from you for that long." I pretended to choke back tears. Luke sighed in relief and pulled me into his embrace. "You scared me. I thought someone was bullying you. Just don't go if you don't want to. But this is a rare opportunity. If I succeed, I could earn a bonus that would nearly clear our debts." He contemplated for a moment. "Then it's settled. Whenever you miss me, just video call me. Will that bother you at work?" "Not at all. I'll wear headphones while you talk." What a perfect response. I had once fallen for such charming words. Just then, Luke leaned down, attempting to kiss me. I quickly dodged and pointed to the food. "Let's eat before it gets cold." His surprise turned into hesitation, but he quickly regained his composure. After dinner, I claimed I needed to pack for my trip and prepare materials for tomorrow's meeting, asking him to sleep without waiting for me. He trusted me, reminding me to rest early after I finished. I nodded, knowing I wasn't packing for a trip, but rather moving out. The next morning, I dragged my suitcase back to the cafe where I had seen him yesterday. Once he was gone, I returned to install miniature cameras in the air conditioner vent and the mirror on the dresser. I then called the landlord about renting the vacant unit next door. That apartment had been left for his son, who was studying abroad and hadn't returned yet. I assured the landlord I would only rent for 3 months and would not damage anything, and he agreed. After paying the rent, he sent me the access code. My first act upon entering was to install the final camera in the peephole. If my instincts were correct, he would bring Lena home soon. I wasn't idle either. While I waited, I began drafting reports to expose Luke's company for tax evasion, which would chip away at his fortune. I reported fire hazards, labor law violations, and health standards issues at their food company. I even noted pollution concerns. In just a week, I had penned over a dozen reports, watching as Luke's company remained trending on social media for weeks, with their stock plummeting several points. Of course, these were merely appetizers. If he thought he could evade splitting his fortune with me, I'd make sure he lost it all. For an entire week, Luke didn't come home, likely preoccupied with handling the fallout from my complaints. Even when I video called him, he was distracted, nearly slipping up several times. I looked at the few unsent reports on my desk and decided to take a breather, giving him some space. If he didn't return soon with Lena, I wouldn't have the evidence I needed of his infidelity. 2 days later, just as I was attempting to infiltrate Lena's fan club, Luke returned with her. As they exited the elevator, they embraced and kissed passionately. I watched through my computer screen as they lost themselves in each other, shedding clothing until they were down to their underwear. The scene turned steamy, and not wanting to risk a headache from too much exposure, I hit record. An hour later, after their passion had subsided, I returned to my computer. They lounged against the headboard, Lena nestled in Luke's arms, playfully tracing patterns on his chest. "I thought you were still mad about what happened years ago since you didn't reach out." Luke leaned down and placed a gentle kiss on her lips. "I've been dealing with some issues at work. Mom couldn't handle everything alone, so I had to step in. But now that everything's settled, I'm here." Lena pouted, playfully hitting his chest. "When are you going to divorce that woman? And can we pick a different place next time? This place is old and shabby, and the bed is so hard. I always end up with a sore back." Luke, looking at her with desire, replied, "I wouldn't mind changing locations as long as you're not afraid of the paparazzi. As for the divorce, it's not the right time yet. Once she finishes paying off her last bit of debt after her business trip, I'll find a reason to divorce her. How shameless! Even now, he was still counting on me to pay off his debt. Though Lena seemed dissatisfied, she didn't press the issue further. They exchanged knowing looks and launched into another round of intimacy. I turned off the surveillance. I had often wondered why they insisted on coming here. Now I understood they were afraid of being caught by paparazzi. Well, if that's the case, I'd do them a favor and deliver a surprise to the paparazzi. Chapter 5. The next day, I staked out at the cafe early. As soon as they came out, I took as many photos as I could. Lena was heavily disguised, almost unrecognizable, but fans are powerful. In the past few days, I had seen how they could identify someone even if they were wrapped like a mummy. I sorted through the photos, picked the most recognizable ones, and printed them out. Along with Luke's marriage certificate, I sent a copy to several big-name paparazzi. Then I waited for the next day's headlines. As expected, the next day, #LenaLuke topped the trending list. Lena's fans couldn't accept their idol being a homewrecker, arguing fiercely in the fan club. Some even believed she was framed. Rival fans took the opportunity to mock her, and the internet was abuzz with activity. Watching the various comments online, I felt a sense of satisfaction. While I was enjoying the comments, Luke called. He sounded nervous. "Honey, what are you doing?" I scrolled through the comments. "Working? What else? It's been so busy lately." "Really busy?" he asked. I knew he was testing if I had seen the news, so I said, "Yeah, so busy I don't have time to check my phone. I might not be able to call you often. Take care of yourself, don't skip meals or I'll worry." I heard him sigh with relief. I replied, using the excuse that my boss was calling, and hung up quickly. On the second to last page of the comments, I saw a bombshell. A user commented, "Lena has been a homewrecker more than once." This comment was from a new account, with only a few black fans agreeing, and no one else paying attention. I added her contact and asked directly if the comment was true. She replied quickly, "Of course, I have proof." She sent a photo of Lena with a pot-bellied man in bed, the man's face blurred, but Lena's was clear. I knew she was a fellow victim and came clean. I'm also a victim of Lena's interference. She said she had more and asked if I wanted them. Of course, I did. Who knew how long the post would last? After receiving the photos, I saw that all posts about Luke and Lena had been deleted, replaced by a minor actor scandal. But with these photos and my video, I had enough to bring her down. I hadn't followed their news for a while. These photos were my last resort, but the affair scandal had already gotten her blacklisted, making them unnecessary. Hearing about it now, I just treated it as gossip unrelated to me. After work, I saw Luke waiting at the company entrance. As soon as he saw me, he eagerly approached. "Olivia, let me take you home." I ignored him, thinking, no good deed goes unpunished. Did he think I was stupid enough to fall for the same trick twice? Seeing me leave, Luke blocked my way. "Olivia, I was wrong before. Please forgive me." I looked at him coldly. "Luke, we're divorced. We have nothing to do with each other." Luke put on a loving act. "I was wrong before, I'm sorry. After everything, I realized you're the one who loves me the most. Let's cancel the divorce." I found it laughable. Who gave him the confidence to think a simple apology would bring me back? "If you stay with me, you can live in my mansion. I'll add your name to the deed, give you an allowance, and you won't have to work anymore." I looked at him coldly. He still didn't understand his mistake. Seeing my silence, Luke thought I was wavering and continued. "Olivia, think carefully. This is your only chance to become rich. Otherwise, you'll rent forever." He knew my biggest wish was to own a home. "Luke, you're disgusting. From the moment I knew you deceived me, I gave up on you. No matter how many houses you buy, I won't be with you." I thought Luke would stop after my scolding, but he didn't. He waited for me after work every day, even sending lunch to my office. Even though my colleagues looked at him with disdain, he didn't care. He even waited at my apartment. Despite my complaints to security, he found ways to get in. When my landlord, Mrs. Zhu, found out, she moved in next door, calling security or the police whenever he showed up. Eventually, I learned Luke wasn't trying to win me back out of love. He needed me to help restore his public and shareholder image. Due to the food safety and sewage issues, Luke's mother had been forced to leave the Lu Group. The condition for her departure was to keep Luke's position as general manager. But his affair and marriage fraud scandal caused the company's stock to plummet. Shareholders demanded he restore his public image or leave the company like his mother. So he dumped Lena and came back to me. I told Lena about it. Lena, desperate for attention, posted a video online, crying that she was also a victim, deceived by Luke, who then spread rumors about her relationships with directors to get rid of her. Luke, finding out, created an account to refute her claims. The internet was in an uproar again. It was a dog-eat-dog situation, both sides getting hurt. In the end, neither gained anything as the public saw through their lies. Luke was eventually removed from the Lu Group and sued for damages caused by the scandals, his millions dwindling rapidly. Lena was completely blacklisted from the entertainment industry. 30 days later, I called Luke to finalize the divorce. This time, he didn't delay, and the process went smoothly. I got the few million I deserved. Holding the divorce certificate, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. A failed marriage isn't the end, as long as you know when to cut your losses. Mrs. Zhu, hearing I got the divorce, insisted on celebrating. Her son, who had been studying abroad, had returned. I invited my parents to join the celebration. At the dinner table, Mrs. Zhu introduced us. Olivia, this is my son, Dr. Zhu. Son, this is the girl I always talk about, Olivia. I smiled and extended my hand. Hello, I'm Olivia. He shook my hand. Hello, I'm Dr. Zhu. In that moment, I suddenly remembered the voice from the ambulance in my previous life. It was you.